Seventh Planet, Mercury Rising by Gerald Clark, the late, great Gerald Clark. Man, Gerald Clark was a good friend of mine. Unfortunately, he passed away. He ended up developing a tumor in his hip, unfortunately, and it spread throughout his entire body. And I never forget the night before he died, he called me on WhatsApp and he told me goodbye. He knew he was leaving. But man, he left this here for the world. He is the person that really inspired me to write my book, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. This book is based on Thoth, the Atlantean priest king. Okay, even though the cover kind of doesn't really allude to that. It's about the ancient hermetic information and the ancient god named Thoth and the records that he left behind and a breaking down of them. But Gerald was an engineer. He was a genius, and he had many huge inventions that are responsible for the modern world that we're living in right now. And what's interesting is, so the way that he wrote this book, he wrote it in a way that is like beyond the beginner's level, and it's hard for a lot of people to digest, and it's a massive amount of information, right? And so I saw this book and I loved it. This is for the well-experienced and the people that have a good base of knowledge to digest and download. And I want to come with something that can really break the Emerald Tablets down for the beginner. So my book says Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, a beginner's guide. But let me tell you something. This book is power. Seventh Planet, Mercury Rising by Gerald Clark. Incredible book. Hey, man, we miss you, Gerald. And his beautiful wife, Krista, who he dedicated this book to, is still a good friend of mine. And you just have to get this book because he goes into everything. Chimeras, abominations, Adapa, who's Adam. He goes into the genetic upgrade by Nigajita. Nigajita is actually Thoth the Atlantean. Nigajita was his Mesopotamian name. He goes into the Mayan calendar and DNA. Enki's home and far, far away in Eridu. He digs deep into the first king of Eridu, resolving Sumerian kingship and destruction, lamentations for the destruction of Ur, one of the first wars that happened, one of the first pyramid wars. There were a few. He goes deep into that. The flower of life, sacred geometry, slave energy transfer. He talks about how they were able to encapsulate our spirits and turn us into reincarnating slaves on this planet based off his knowledge that he's accessed in these tablets. The composition of man, the caduceus energy and the chakras. This is just incredible stuff. You have to really read this book. This book is just a phenomenal book. I've gone through this book so many times, and there's so much information in this book. Just holding it again in my hand after a year makes me want to go through it again. 10 Commandments of the NWO, Anunnaki players in America and Russia. He comes all the way into the future. Soviets vilified by the game masters. Soviets vilified by the game masters. This book is, when did he write this book? And that you got to read that chapter. You have to read that chapter. This is 2014. Everything that's going on right now with Russia and all this Ukraine stuff, right here, guys. Right in this book. Sustainable water, rain, fog, harvesting. He goes into all the future things that we're dealing with right now. Somatic frequencies and geometry. Great book. Seventh Planet, Mercury Rising, Gerald Clark. Another great man again, Gerald Clark, his other book, Anunnaki, the Anunnaki of Nibiru. A super duper classic, the Anunnaki of Nibiru. Gerald did a great job of correlating the Sumerian gods with the Greek gods because they were the same people at a different time period. Zeus and his son Apollo are reigning in the New World Order. He goes into this stuff deep. It's so cool how he figures it all out. And he brings it into modern times. He always takes them from where they were in ancient times and brings it into modern times.